At 6:15 every morning, your alarm goes off in a one-bedroom apartment that costs less per month than what you earn in a few minutes. You reach over, silence your old phone, and stare at the ceiling. There is a small crack above your bed. The air conditioner makes a strange rattling noise. Your neighbor upstairs is already walking around, and somewhere outside, someone is honking at a car that has been blocking the street since last night. To anyone looking through your window, your life is painfully ordinary. You get out of bed, you put on a faded gray hoodie, a pair of old sneakers, a watch that costs $79. Then you walk into your tiny kitchen and make coffee with a machine you bought on sale 3 years ago. Your phone vibrates. You glance at the notification. Portfolio change overnight, plus $1,284,613. You stare at the number for less than 2 seconds. Then you swipe it away. Because nobody knows. Not your neighbors. Not the people at work. Not the barista downstairs. Not even most of your friends. They think you're Daniel, 31 years old, single, a quiet financial analyst with an average salary and an old car. What they don't know is that your actual net worth is approximately $4.7 billion, and you've spent the last 5 years making sure no one finds out. Today begins exactly like every other day, but before the day ends, someone is going to discover the truth, and when they do, your normal life may disappear forever. You leave your apartment at 6:48. The elevator is broken again. So you walk down 6 flights of stairs with 3 other tenants. One of them is Mrs. Parker, a retired teacher who lives on the 4th floor. She smiles when she sees you. Still driving that old Honda? You laugh. Still running. She shakes her head. You young people need to enjoy your money sometimes. You almost smile. If only she knew. Outside, your 2008 Honda Civic is parked under a tree. There is a scratch across the rear bumper. The passenger window makes a clicking sound when it goes down, and the air conditioning only works when it feels like it. You could replace it. Obviously, you could buy every car in the parking lot. You could buy the entire building. Actually, you almost did. 2 years ago, the property was put on the market. One of your investment companies considered acquiring it. You personally rejected the deal because the rent increase would have forced several longtime tenants to leave. No one in the building knows that. Especially Mrs. Parker. You get into the Honda and drive 3 blocks before changing your mind. Traffic is terrible, so you park at the train station and take the subway instead. Standing between you and the office is a construction worker, 2 students, a nurse, and a man loudly complaining about his boss. Nobody looks at you twice. That's exactly how you like it. 40 minutes later, you walk into a small coffee shop near your office. The barista, Maya, already knows your order. Black coffee, no sugar. Perfect. She places the cup on the counter. $3.75. You tap your card. Maya looks at your hoodie. You know, Daniel, one day you're going to have to stop dressing like you're still in college. You laugh. Clothes are expensive. She rolls her eyes. Maybe ask your boss for a raise. Your phone vibrates again. A message appears from your private banker. The Singapore acquisition has been finalized. Your estimated position increased by $38.6 million. You lock the screen. Maya hands you the coffee. Have a good day. You too. You walk out carrying a 3.75 coffee, after making more money before breakfast than most people will make in their entire lives. And somehow, that still isn't the strangest part of your morning. At 8:26 you arrive at the office. Nobody stands up. Nobody calls you sir. Nobody knows that companies you own employ more than 12,000 people around the world. Here, you're just Daniel from analytics. Your coworker Jason rolls his chair toward your desk. Dude, look. He puts his phone in front of you. A brand new BMW. Black. Leather interior. He grins. Picked it up yesterday. Nice. 72 grand. You nod. Looks good. Jason leans back proudly. You gotta live a little, man. Then he looks at your old sneakers. No offense, but you're way too conservative with money. You almost laugh. Jason continues. You invest it all? A little. In what? Mostly long-term stuff. Jason shakes his head like a teacher disappointed in a student. No, no, no. You need growth stocks. I started 6 months ago. I'm already up 11%. That's pretty good. Exactly. He opens an investment app. Here, I'll show you what I bought. One of the companies on his screen makes you pause. A small technology firm. You don't tell Jason that one of your holding companies owns 34% of it. You don't tell him that you invested $22 million before it went public. You don't tell him that the 11% gain he's celebrating this morning increased your position by approximately $9 million. Instead, you nod politely. Interesting. Jason smiles. Stick with me. I'll make you rich. For the first time that morning, you nearly choke on your coffee. At lunch, your coworkers go to a trendy restaurant. You make an excuse and walk to a small sandwich shop 5 blocks away. Not because you're trying to save money, you just like the place. And because there's someone you usually see outside. His name is Robert. He's 56, former mechanic, lost his job after a back injury, then lost his apartment. For the past month, you've seen him sitting near the same corner. Most days you buy him lunch. Today, he's not there. You ask the sandwich shop owner, "Have you seen Robert?" The owner looks concerned. "Ambulance took him last night." Your face changes. "Do you know where?" "St. Joseph." You step outside and call someone. Not the hospital, not social services, your family office. A woman named Sarah answers immediately. "Good afternoon. I need you to find someone." You give her Robert's name, his approximate age, the hospital. Take care of whatever medical balance he has. Quietly. Understood. And find him temporary housing when he's discharged. Duration? 6 months to start. Employment assistance? Yes. Something compatible with his back injury. Sarah pauses. Anything else? You look through the window of the sandwich shop. The owner is watching you from inside. No. And Sarah? Yes? Nothing connected to my name. Of course. You hang up. When you return to the office, Jason complains that lunch cost $28. You say nothing. 3 days later, Robert will leave the hospital with his bills paid. 2 weeks later, he will move into a small apartment. A month later, he will begin working as a service coordinator for an automotive company. He will never know who changed his life. And that's exactly the point. That evening, your manager announces a dinner with several clients. The restaurant is expensive. Very expensive. Jason is excited because it's almost impossible to get a reservation. When you arrive, everyone is dressed perfectly. Tailored suits, designer watches, luxury cars waiting outside. You're wearing the same dark jacket you've had for 4 years. At the entrance, a hostess looks at you, then at your clothes. "Can I help you?" "I'm with the Morrison Group." She looks at the reservation list. Before she can answer, a man behind you sighs loudly. He's wearing a watch worth more than your Honda. "Some of us have reservations." You move aside. "No problem." The man looks at you again. "You know there's a casual place around the corner, right?" You stare at him for a moment. Jason appears from inside. "Daniel, there you are." The man's expression changes slightly. You walk past him without responding. Dinner continues normally, but halfway through the evening, the restaurant's general manager walks by your table. He sees you, stops. His face changes. For half a second, he almost says something. You give him the smallest shake of your head. He understands. "Everything okay tonight?" he asks the table. Your manager smiles. "Excellent." The general manager looks directly at you. "I'm glad." Then he leaves. Jason leans over. "You know that guy?" "Not really. That's not entirely true. 3 years ago, one of your private equity groups acquired the hospitality company that owns this restaurant, and 11 others. Technically, the rude man waiting at the entrance was telling one of the owners that maybe he belonged somewhere cheaper. You could have embarrassed him. You could have called the manager back. You could have bought his table, bought his company, made him feel as small as he tried to make you feel. But you don't. Because having power and needing everyone to see it are two very different things. By 10:30 that night, you're back inside your apartment. You sit at the small kitchen table and open a laptop. This is the version of your life no one sees. Encrypted dashboards, investment reports, private company updates, real estate holdings, legal structures spread across several jurisdictions. Your wealth isn't sitting in one giant bank account. About $1.3 billion is tied to public equities. Nearly $900 million is connected to real estate. More than $600 million is invested in private companies. Several hundred million sits inside funds, bonds, and other assets. And then there's the charitable foundation. Almost $400 million. You built most of it after selling the software company you founded in your 20s. The world believes that company was created by a group of anonymous early investors and a public-facing CEO. Very few people know you were the largest shareholder. You designed it that way. Your name never became famous. Your face never appeared on magazine covers. You never gave billionaire interviews. You never built a personal brand around being rich. And after the sale, instead of buying an island, you got a normal job. Your salary is about $5,000 a month after taxes. You don't need it. You work because you want one place in your life where people react to you without knowing your bank balance. You want to hear real opinions, experience real inconvenience, meet people who aren't trying to impress you. You want to know what a person sounds like before money changes their voice. And for 5 years, the system has worked perfectly. Until you meet Emma. You met Emma 7 months ago in a bookstore. You both reached for the same copy of a novel. She got there first. You told her she could have it. She said, "Only if you buy me coffee so I can tell you whether it's worth reading." You thought she was joking. She wasn't. Your first date cost $14. Your second date was a walk through the park. Your third was pizza at your apartment. Emma is a physical therapist. She works long hours. She has student loans. She keeps a spreadsheet for every expense. And she genuinely believes you have less money than she does. Once, she tried to pay for your car repair because she thought you couldn't afford it. You refused. She spent an hour arguing with you. Another time, she sent you a link to a cheaper apartment. "This place is closer to work," she said, "and the rent is $200 less." You looked at her. "Are you trying to improve my finances?" "Someone has to." You smiled. She didn't know that the previous morning, you had approved a $60 million commercial real estate investment. And strangely, you loved that she cared about saving you $200. Because she wasn't trying to take anything. She thought you had nothing to take. One Friday night, you're sitting together on the roof of your apartment building. Cheap takeout. City lights. Emma rests her head on your shoulder. Then she asks something you aren't prepared for. "Do you trust me?" You look at her. "Of course." "Completely?" Your stomach tightens. "Why?" She sits up. "Sometimes I feel like there's a room in your life you won't let me into." You say nothing. You disappear for calls. You know weird things about finance. Sometimes you talk like you've been in rooms with people you shouldn't know. You smile nervously. "Maybe I'm mysterious. I'm serious." Her voice softens. "I don't care if you're in debt." You almost laugh. Then you realize she means it. "I don't care if your family has problems. I don't care if you made some huge mistake before we met." She takes your hand. "I don't need you to be rich, Daniel." Your throat tightens. "I just need you to be honest." For the first time in years, your secret doesn't feel clever. It feels heavy. You look across the city. Somewhere in the distance stands a glass tower. You own most of it. Emma follows your eyes. "What?" "Nothing. But you know the truth. If this relationship continues, you have to tell her. And once you do, there is no going back." 2 weeks later, you ask Emma to attend a charity event. You tell her it's connected to one of your clients. She almost refuses. "I don't have anything to wear." You look good in anything. That was a terrible answer. You laugh. Eventually, she agrees. That evening, you arrive at a large hotel downtown. Cameras are outside. Executives, investors, politicians, philanthropists. Emma grabs your arm. "Daniel, what kind of client do you have?" "A complicated one." Inside the ballroom, people begin recognizing you. Not publicly, but privately. A man in a tuxedo shakes your hand and says, "Good to see you again." A woman thanks you for something Emma doesn't understand. Another executive asks if Singapore closed successfully. Emma looks at you. You change the subject. Then the lights dim. A host walks onto the stage. The screen behind him shows the foundation's logo. Emma whispers, "This is huge." You don't answer. The host begins speaking. "Tonight, we're celebrating a foundation that has funded hospitals, education programs, housing projects, and medical research across 16 countries." Applause fills the room. Emma smiles. Then the host continues. "For years, the founder has chosen to remain out of the public spotlight." Your heart starts pounding. "He has never accepted an award from us before." Emma stops smiling. "But tonight, after significant persuasion, he agreed to join us." Your name appears on the screen. Daniel Reeves, founder and chairman. Emma doesn't move. The applause becomes distant. You stand. She grabs your wrist. "What is this?" You look at her. "The thing I should have told you." Her face loses color. You walk toward the stage. For the next 12 minutes, Emma watches CEOs shake your hand. She watches people applaud hundreds of millions of dollars in donations connected to your foundation. She watches a video describing investments and projects you never mentioned. And when you finally return to the table, she looks at you like you're a stranger. You leave the ballroom early. Emma barely speaks in the elevator. Outside, a black car is waiting. She looks at it, then at you. That yours? Technically. She laughs once. But there is no humor in it. Of course it is. You tell the driver you will walk. For 2 blocks, neither of you says anything. Finally, Emma stops. How rich are you? You take a breath. About 4.7 million? You look at her. She stares back. Her eyes widen. No. You say nothing. Billion? You nod. Emma takes 2 steps away from you. $4.7 billion? Approximately. Approximately? She starts laughing from pure disbelief. You let me send you a coupon for groceries. I used it. You let me worry about your rent. I know. I offered to pay for your car repair. I know. She covers her face. Daniel, what the hell? You don't defend yourself, because there is nothing you can say that makes 7 months of hiding the truth disappear. Finally, she looks at you. Why? And this time, you tell her everything. You were 12 when your father finally became wealthy. Not billionaire wealthy, but rich enough for everything to change. Before the money, your house was always full. Family came over on weekends. Friends stayed for dinner. People laughed loudly. Nobody cared what car your father drove. Then his business succeeded. The new house came first. Then the cars. Then the articles. Then people changed. Relatives he hadn't spoken to in years suddenly called. Old friends appeared with business ideas. People borrowed money and disappeared. Others acted offended when he said no. Your father's birthdays became bigger, but somehow, less personal. You remember sitting beside him one night after everyone had left. The house was enormous. The silence was even bigger. Your father looked at you and said, "Money doesn't only buy things." You waited. It changes the way people look at you. Then he pointed toward the empty dining room. When people know what you have, it becomes difficult to know what they want. Years later, when your own company made you far wealthier than your father ever became, that sentence came back. You had already seen it happening. People laughing harder at your jokes. Strangers agreeing with everything you said. Dates suddenly becoming more interested after learning your position. People calling you brilliant before hearing your idea. So you disappeared. You removed your name from the public story. You lived beneath your means. And for the first time, people became honest around you again. You tell Emma, "I needed to know what people thought of me when they thought there was nothing to gain." She looks hurt. So I was a test? No. Sounds like one. At first, maybe. She looks away. And now, you hesitate. Now you're the reason I don't want to hide anymore. Emma doesn't forgive you that night. She goes home alone. For 3 days, she doesn't answer your calls. And strangely, this is one problem your money cannot solve. You can buy companies. You can move markets. You can put someone on a private plane in 20 minutes. But you cannot purchase trust after you've damaged it. So you wait. On the 4th day, Emma arrives at your apartment. Not the penthouse you secretly own. The same small apartment. You open the door. She's holding something. A grocery bag. What is that? Dinner. You stare at her. She walks inside. You're confused. Are we okay? No. You nod. Fair. She puts the groceries on the counter. But if we're going to figure this out, we start with one rule. Anything. No more hidden rooms. You look at her. No more hidden rooms. She points toward your laptop. Then show me. So you do. Not everything. Not private information that belongs to other people. But enough. The companies. The foundation. The investments. The houses. The ridiculous numbers. Halfway through, she stops you. That was everything they owned. I don't want to see more. Why? Because I already understand. She looks around your tiny kitchen. You really could live anywhere. Yes. And you stay here? For now. She smiles slightly. You're weird. You knew that already. For the first time since the event, she laughs. And somehow, that laugh means more to you than another $1 billion ever could. At 6:15, your alarm rings. Same bed. Same crack in the ceiling. Same rattling air conditioner. You put on the same gray hoodie. The same sneakers. You walk downstairs. Mrs. Parker sees you. You ever going to replace that car? Probably not. She shakes her head. You need to enjoy life. You smile. I am. At the coffee shop, Maya hands you your usual order. $3.75, you pay. Still no raise? Still waiting. She laughs. You leave the shop and walk toward the subway. People move around you without noticing. A delivery driver checks his phone. A woman argues with someone through her headphones. A child pulls his father's hand toward a bakery window. Nobody sees a billionaire. Nobody moves out of your way. Nobody asks for money. Nobody wants a photo. And you realize something. The greatest luxury you've ever purchased isn't the jet you almost never use. It isn't the houses. It isn't access to private rooms, private banks, or people who answer your call in the middle of the night. It's this: the freedom to walk down the street and simply be a person. No performance. No status. No need to prove anything. Your phone vibrates. Another financial notification. Another number most people would stare at for hours. You don't even open it. Instead, you look up. Emma is standing across the street, 2 coffees in her hands. You walk toward her. She gives you one. You know, she says, I paid for this. Thank you. So technically, right now, I'm supporting a billionaire. You laugh. She smiles. Then the light changes. The two of you cross the street with everyone else. No security around you. No cameras. No supercars. Just 2 ordinary people disappearing into the morning crowd. And for the first time in a long time, you don't feel like you're hiding. You just feel free. Maybe that's the secret no one tells you about becoming rich. At some point, buying more things stops changing your life. The house gets bigger. The car gets faster. The number gets larger. But the things you truly want become things money can't guarantee. Someone who tells you the truth. Someone who stays when there is nothing to gain. A morning where nobody wants anything from you. A conversation where your bank account is irrelevant. A life where you don't have to prove that you've won. Because maybe the greatest luxury money can buy is the freedom to stop proving you have it. So here's the question. If you woke up tomorrow with $5 billion, but nobody knew, would you tell everyone? Would you buy the mansion? The supercars? The private jet? Would you finally show the world that you made it? Or would you keep your old apartment, drink the same cheap coffee, drive the same old car, and quietly find out who would still choose you when they thought you had nothing? What would you do? Tell me in the comments, because your answer probably says more about you than the money ever could.